The station called the Celestial Accord did not look like something built for living beings. It looked like a piece of art that had grown too large and forgotten. It was supposed to make sense. It stretched across the dark like a silver flower frozen in bloom, long curved spines reaching out in every direction. Soft light pulsed along its surface in slow waves, like a calm heartbeat. Ships of every shape and size drifted around it, sharp, smooth, glowing, spinning, each one carrying delegates from a different corner of the known galaxy. Inside one of the smaller docking bays, Elias Ward tried very hard not to stare. He had seen pictures, of course. Human networks had shown simulations, artist drawings, blurry telescope captures. None of that had prepared him for the real thing. The air itself felt different, lightly scented with something cool and metallic. The floor beneath his boots was smooth and faintly warm, like sun-heated stone. Overhead, the ceiling arched so high that it disappeared into misty blue light. "Ambassador Terran of the Velith Combine," announced a hovering drone in a pleasant, musical tone. A tall, four-armed being covered in shimmering fabric floated past Elias without looking at him. Trade Speaker Ulron, representing the Third Spiral Consortium. A cluster of beings that looked like walking glass sculptures glided by, their bodies chiming softly with each step.
Elias checked his wrist pad for the 10th time in 2 minutes.
His name was still at the bottom of a list. Elias Ward, Human Cultural Liaison/Systems Technician. He sighed quietly. Cultural Liaison sounded important. Systems Technician was what he actually was. "Hey!" said a voice beside him. He turned and found Ambassador Lyra Chen, Earth's official representative, giving him a sideways look. She wore the formal dark blue suit of the Terran Union, silver thread at the collar catching the light. "You're doing the thing?" she said. "What thing?" "The wide-eyed tourist thing?" "I am not. You absolutely are?" Elias tried to look dignified. It lasted about 3 seconds before another alien delegation entered the bay, riding a floating platform shaped like a ring of light.
"Okay," he muttered. "Maybe a little."
"Maybe a little." Lyra's expression softened.
"You're not here to impress anyone. Pretty sure that's exactly why we're here."
"No," she said gently. "I'm here to impress people. You're here to fix things when the translators break and to explain why humans eat fungus on purpose."
It's called cheese. See? Cultural liaison.
Before he could answer, the hovering drone chimed again, louder this time. "Prepare for the arrival of Her Radiance Seralith V, Queen of the Aurelian Continuum." The entire docking bay changed. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. Beings that did not even share the same body language somehow managed to straighten at the same time. Lights along the walls shifted from blue to a soft white gold. Even the air felt stiller, like the moment before music begins. Elias leaned closer to Lyra. "That's the big one, right? That's the very big one," she murmured.
The Aurelians helped end 3 interstellar wars without firing a single shot. They're respected.
That's one word for it. The far wall of the docking bay split open without a sound. A ship drifted in, long and curved like a silver leaf. It did not use visible engines. It simply moved, smooth and effortless. A ramp extended. A faint glow spilled down it. Then the Queen appeared. Elias had seen Aurelian images in briefing files, but they had been flat, lifeless things. The real being walking down that ramp made his brain struggle to keep up. She was tall and slender, her body covered in fine, pale gold filaments that shifted like soft light across water. Her eyes were large and luminous, not a single solid color, but layers of faint shades that moved when she did. A thin mantle of living fabric flowed from her shoulders, trailing behind her like mist. 2 Aurelian attendants followed at a distance, their forms similar but dimmer, like stars beside a moon. No one spoke. Queen Seralith reached the floor of the bay and paused. A soft pulse of warmth brushed across Elias's mind. Not words, not even thoughts, just a feeling of calm attention. He glanced around. Several other species had clearly felt it too. "She's greeting everyone," Lyra whispered. "Their kind are mildly telepathic. Surface emotions mostly."
Great, Elias muttered.
"Hope she likes anxiety." The Queen began to walk along the line of representatives. One by one, she stopped before each delegate. She lifted one graceful hand and placed it lightly on their upper shoulder, or nearest equivalent. The touch lasted only a second. Each time the alien she greeted reacted differently. Some bowed deeply. Some changed color. One insect-like being let out a soft trill that might have been joy.
What's she doing? Elias asked.
Recognition,
Lyra said.
Aurelian custom. It means, I see you as a thinking being with worth. It's a big deal.
Elias swallowed. Oh, no pressure then. They were near the end of the line. The Queen stopped before Ambassador Terran, the floating four-armed being. Her hand rested briefly on the creature's upper limb. Terran's shimmering skin rippled with bright patterns. Then she moved to the walking glass cluster. Her fingers brushed one clear, chiming surface. The sound that followed was like wind through crystal. Then she stood in front of Ambassador Lyra Chen. Up close, the Queen seemed even taller. Light moved across her like dawn sliding over a landscape. She tilted her head slightly, studying Lyra with those layered eyes. Lyra bowed her head respectfully.
On behalf of the Terran Union, welcome. The Queen placed her hand on Lyra's shoulder. Elias felt it again. That soft mental warmth, like standing in sunlight after being cold.
Lyra inhaled slowly, then smiled in a way Elias had never seen during tense political meetings. Calm. Seen. The Queen's hand withdrew. Her gaze shifted to Elias. For a split second, he had the strange feeling of being very small and very loud at the same time. Like every messy human thought in his head had suddenly turned on a spotlight. He straightened awkwardly. Hi. Lyra made a quiet choking sound beside him. The Queen stepped closer. Up close, Elias could see faint patterns moving under her skin, like slow constellations. He suddenly became very aware that he was just a guy who fixed translation software and once got lost in the supply corridor for 20 minutes.
It's an honor, he said, hoping that covered most diplomatic mistakes.
Her hand lifted. It was long-fingered and warm-looking, the light around it soft and steady. She placed it gently on his shoulder. The world stopped. Not literally. The docking bay still existed. Lights still glowed. Distant machines still hummed. But inside Elias's head, something shifted. The soft warmth he had felt before did not stay soft. It flared. A rush of emotion that was not his own poured through him. Shock, grief, wonder, and something so old it felt like standing at the edge of deep time. Images flickered at the edge of his mind. Not clear pictures, just impressions. Cold air, strange stars in an unfamiliar sky. Pain, loneliness, fear. And then, hands. Rough, careful. Voices, low and worried. Warmth from a fire. The smell of earth and smoke. Elias staggered, not from pain, but from the weight of feelings that did not belong to him. Around them, several other telepathic species gasped or recoiled. A low murmur rippled through the bay. The Queen did not move. Her hand remained on his shoulder. Her luminous eyes widened. The light beneath her skin shifted rapidly, patterns flashing and reforming like a storm of stars. She whispered something in her own language. The translation systems lagged a half-second before rendering it into sound. "You carry him." Elias blinked. What?"
The Queen's breathing changed. Faster. Uneven. Behind her, the two Aurelian attendants stepped forward in alarm, their own light patterns flickering. "Your radiance?" one of them said softly. A faint pulse rolled outward from the Queen, stronger than before. Several nearby delegates swayed or grabbed onto support rails. Elias felt it too, a wave of emotion so deep it made his chest ache. Grief. But not fresh grief. Ancient grief, worn smooth by centuries but still heavy. The Queen withdrew her hand slowly, as if afraid the connection might break too suddenly. She stared at Elias the way someone might stare at a message found in a bottle after drifting alone at sea for a lifetime. Lyra found her voice first. "Your radiance, is something wrong?" The entire docking bay was watching now. Drones hovered closer. Security beings shifted position, unsure whether this was a threat or a miracle. The Queen lifted one trembling hand toward Elias's face, but stopped short of touching him again. "Impossible," she whispered. "Lost. So long lost." Elias looked at Lyra, then back at the Queen. "I think there's been some kind of mistake. I'm just support staff." Her eyes snapped back into focus. "No," she said softly. "You are, Buddy, a memory." A wave of confused whispers spread through the delegates.
Ambassador Terran floated closer, careful and slow. "Your radiance, do you require assistance?" The Queen did not look away from Elias.
"I require understanding." She took a slow breath, visibly steadying herself. The wild light beneath her skin dimmed to a low, trembling glow.
What is your designation? She asked Elias.
Elias Ward, human, from Earth. Her eyes flickered at the word. "Earth?" she repeated, as if tasting a half-remembered sound. "Yes, yes," one of her attendants spoke urgently in their own language. The translation rendered only part of it. Genetic resonance impossible without direct. The Queen silenced them with a slight motion of her hand. She stepped back, putting a small but noticeable distance between herself and Ialus, as though giving both of them space to breathe. "This meeting," she said louder now, her voice carrying clearly through the bay, "will be delayed." No one argued. She looked at Lyra. "Terran ambassador." "This human must come with me." Every security instinct in the room seemed to wake up at once. Guards from multiple species tensed. Lyra kept her expression calm with visible effort. "May I ask why, Your Radiance?" The Queen's gaze softened, but her voice remained unsteady with emotion. "Because," she said, 600 cycles ago, my people lost someone to the dark between stars." She looked back at Elias. "And somehow," she whispered, "your kind did not let him die alone." Silence fell so completely that Elias could hear his own heartbeat. He had no idea what she was talking about, but the way she looked at him, like he was a door that had just opened after centuries of being sealed, made one thing very clear. Whatever had just happened, humanity had stepped into galactic history long before it ever knew the galaxy was watching. And somehow, for reasons he did not understand, Elias Ward was standing right at the center of it. The room they brought Elias to was nothing like the grand docking bay. It was smaller, round, and quiet. The walls curved upward into a soft dome that glowed with a pale gold light. Thin lines of brighter light ran through the floor in gentle patterns, like frozen streams. In the center stood a low platform, surrounded by smooth, curved seats that seemed shaped more for comfort than for display. Elias stood near the entrance, unsure if he was allowed to sit. Ambassador Lyra Chen stood beside him, arms folded tightly behind her back. 2 human security officers waited near the door, trying very hard not to look nervous, while being watched by 3 tall Aurelian guards whose eyes glowed faintly with contained energy. Queen Seralith stood at the far side of the chamber, speaking softly with her attendants in her own language. The sounds were musical but strained. She looks like she's holding herself together, Elias whispered. She is, Lyra murmured back.
I just got a message from the Accord Council. Half the station is demanding updates. The other half is panicking? Great.
No pressure. One of the attendants stepped forward. Her radiance will speak with you now. Elias looked at Lyra. She gave him a small nod. We're with you. The Queen moved to the central platform and lowered herself gracefully onto one of the curved seats. She gestured for Elias and Lyra to sit opposite her. Elias sat carefully. The seat adjusted under him, softening until it felt like sitting on firm air. He tried not to fidget. For a moment, no one spoke. Up close, the Queen's light patterns were still unsettled. Faint flickers ran beneath her skin, like distant lightning behind clouds.
I must apologize, she said at last.
Her voice, translated into English, was calm but heavy. My reaction in the docking chamber was not controlled. You don't have to apologize, Lyra said politely. We're just trying to understand what happened. The Queen's gaze settled on Elias again, not intense now, but searching. When I touched you, she said, I felt a memory that does not belong to this time. Elias gave a weak smile.
Yeah, I kind of felt that too. Her head tilted.
You perceived it? Not clearly, just feelings, cold, pain, and then people helping. The Queen closed her eyes briefly. When she opened them again, there was something like gratitude in them.
Then the imprint is still strong, she murmured. Imprint? Lyra asked.
The Queen folded her hands together. My species carries memory differently than most. We do not only record history and data, we carry echoes of experience within our biology. Strong emotions, especially near death, can mark us deeply.
Elias shifted? So the thing I felt was someone dying?
Yes, she said gently. One of my people. Silence settled over the room again.
600 of your years ago, the Queen continued, an Aurelian exploration vessel was studying a rare stellar phenomenon near the outer edge of your system.
A sudden gravitational surge damaged the vessel. It lost power and fell toward your world. Earth, Elias said quietly. Yes, At that time, your species had not yet built machines that flew beyond the sky. You did not know we existed. Lyra leaned forward slightly.
We have no record of this.
You would not, the Queen said.
The vessel broke apart during descent.
Only one survivor reached the surface alive. Elias pictured it without meaning to, a glowing alien falling through Earth's atmosphere into a world that had never seen anything like it.
He was badly injured, the Queen said. His body was not built for your gravity or your atmosphere.
His communicator was destroyed. His distress signal never reached us. Her voice faltered just a little. He should have died alone. Elias swallowed.
But he did not, the Queen said.
The lights in the room dimmed slightly. Above them, the domed ceiling shifted, turning into a soft projection surface. Shapes formed in light, blurry at first, then slowly sharpening. A forest appeared. Tall trees. Thick undergrowth. A sky filled with unfamiliar stars.
This is reconstructed from fragments of his final memory, the Queen said, and from the imprint he left behind. The image wavered, then showed a figure lying against the base of a tree.
His body glowed faintly, light flickering weakly across his skin. One arm was bent at a wrong angle.
Whoa!
He was found by a small group of your ancestors, she said. Shapes moved at the edge of the image. Humans. Not modern, not dressed in anything like current clothing. Rough fabrics. Simple tools. Faces wary and afraid.
Elias leaned forward without realizing it. They did not understand what he was, the Queen said. They had never seen life that did not walk, crawl, or fly, like the creatures of their world. One of the humans in the image approached slowly, holding a long wooden spear. Another hung back, clutching a bundle of something wrapped in cloth. "They were afraid," the Queen said.
He could feel it. His mind was weak, but he still sensed their emotions. The human with the spear lowered it slightly.
Another stepped closer. "They saw he was hurt," she said. Him shifted. The humans built a small shelter of branches and leaves. They brought water in carved containers. One of them gently tried to splint the Aurelian's broken limb with straight sticks. Elias let out a slow breath. They helped him. "Yes? Why?" Lyra asked softly. From their point of view, he must have looked like a monster. Or a spirit. Because, the Queen said, and now her voice warmed, he was in pain. The projection showed a human, young dark hair tied back, sitting beside the injured Aurelian at night, feeding a fire. The alien's glow was dimmer now, uneven. They could not heal him, the Queen said. Their knowledge and tools were too limited, but they stayed. Days passed in the memory. The humans brought food, though the Aurelian could not eat most of it. They shaded him from rain. They spoke to him in soft voices he could not understand. They knew he was dying, the Queen said. They had seen death before, but still they did not leave him alone in the dark. The final image came. The Aurelian lay on his back, light fading like the last colors of sunset. Two humans sat beside him. One held his hand, carefully, gently, as if afraid to hurt him.
"He was afraid at the end," the Queen whispered.
Not of death, of being forgotten, of vanishing in a world that would never know his people existed. The human squeezed his hand, and then, she said, he felt their grief, their sorrow for a being they did not understand, who did not look like them, who fell from the sky. Her eyes shone brighter. In that moment, he made a choice. The image faded, replaced by a faint pattern of light, like threads weaving together. Aurelians can, in rare circumstances, pass on a memory mark, she said. A fragment of identity. It is not full consciousness. It is an echo, a thank you. A promise to remember. Elias felt a chill.
He put that into them? Yes.
Into their bloodline. A silent signal, so that if our people ever reached your stars again, we would know.
Lyra sat back slowly.
And we never answered. We searched your system centuries later, the Queen said. We found no sign of advanced life, only radio noise and early machines. By then, the memory marker had faded too far for us to detect at distance. She looked at Elias again. Until today. He rubbed his hands together, trying to process it. So, I just happened to be related to one of those people? Yes. The resonance in you is faint but clear. The line continued. Generation after generation, through war, famine, change, and still, that small imprint survived. Elias gave a short, disbelieving laugh. My family can't even keep track of old photo albums, and somehow we held onto an alien ghost. The Queen's expression softened in a way that almost looked like a smile. Memory is not only kept in objects. A soft chime sounded near the wall. One of the attendants glanced at a glowing panel. Your radiance, they said. The Accord Council requests a statement. Several delegations are unsettled. I am not surprised, she said.
Lyra nodded. With respect, this changes humanity's position overnight.
Some species will welcome that. Others won't. They fear what they do not predict, the Queen said. Your species acted with compassion before it had knowledge, technology, or reason to gain from it. That is unusual. Is that bad? Elias asked. It is powerful, she replied. She stood, light flowing down her form, like water. I will tell the council the truth, she said. That humanity showed kindness to one of us when you had nothing to gain. That this bond was formed long before politics. She paused, then added quietly. And that we owe you a debt older than your nations. Elias blinked. You don't owe us anything. I mean, I didn't do that. I just fixed broken consoles.
You are proof, she said gently, that the kindness endured. Outside the chamber, distant movement and voices echoed through the corridors of the station.
News was already spreading. Humanity had not entered the galactic stage as strangers. Without knowing it, without records or monuments, they had already written their first chapter in the stars, beside a dying alien under an ancient Earth sky. And now, the galaxy finally remembered. Word spread through the celestial accord faster than any official announcement. By the time Queen Seralith stepped into the Grand Convergence Hall, every delegate already knew something had happened with the human. The hall was enormous, shaped like a shallow bowl, with rising tiers that circled a central floor. Each tier held seating areas designed for different species. Pools of nutrient mist, gravity-adjusted platforms, temperature-controlled enclosures, open-air perches. Above, a ceiling of shifting light showed a slow turn of distant stars. At the center stood a single raised platform. Normally, speakers stood there to debate trade routes or border disputes. Today, the Queen of the Aurelians walked there in silence. The sound in the chamber faded until even the hum of translation drones seemed too loud. Elias sat with Ambassador Lyra Chen in the human delegations section halfway up one of the tiers. He felt wildly out of place. I should not be here, he muttered. Lyra didn't look at him. Too late. You're historic now. I didn't sign up for historic. No one ever does. Across the chamber, several delegates watched Elias openly. Some with curiosity, some with what looked uncomfortably like caution. On the central platform, Queen Seralith raised one hand. I ask for quiet thought, she said. Her voice carried clearly through every translation channel. Not only quiet sound. That did it. Even the restless species stilled. Today, she continued, I speak not only as Queen of the Aurelian Continuum, but as the descendant of one who died far from home. A faint murmur moved through the hall. 600 of this system's years ago, one of our explorers was lost near the world called Earth. His vessel failed. He fell alone into an unknown wilderness. Images appeared in the air above the platform. Soft reconstructions from the memory imprint. The forest. The broken Aurelian body. The early humans approaching in fear. Gasps sounded from several sections. They did not know what he was, the Queen said. They had no knowledge of the stars, no understanding of other life beyond their own world.
The image showed humans building shelter, yet they chose not to kill him.
Not to abandon him. They stayed. They gave water, more presence. The final image appeared, a human holding the dying alien's hand. In his last moments, she said softly, he marked their bloodline with an echo of himself. A sign, so that one day, if our people met again, we would remember their kindness. The projection faded. The hall stayed silent for several long seconds. Then voices began to rise. This is unverified emotional data, called the tall, thin delegate from the Karath hegemony. Its voice clicked sharply through translation. Ancient memory imprints are unreliable. Our telepaths confirm the resonance, replied a soft-bodied being from the Mural Enclave.
It is real, even if true, said another. It was the act of a few primitives, not a modern civilization. Queen Sarilith did not raise her voice, but the room quieted anyway. Compassion shown without expectation of reward, she said, reveals more about a species than treaties written under pressure. Her gaze swept the hall. Humans helped a stranger from the sky when they had no reason to believe the galaxy would ever know. He felt like everyone could see his thoughts racing. A delegate from a heavy-gravity world spoke next, its deep voice vibrating through the floor.
Or it reveals they are driven by uncontrolled emotion. Such beings can be unpredictable.
Dangerous. A few lights flashed in agreement from nearby sections. Lyra leaned toward Elias. Here it comes, Elias swallowed. The humans are chaos part? Exactly. On the platform, the Queen inclined her head slightly. Yes, she said, humans feel deeply. They act quickly. They grieve loudly. They love fiercely. A faint ripple of surprise moved through the hall at the open admission. These traits have led them to conflict, she continued, but also to art, cooperation, and sacrifice. We have observed their history since first contact. You have been watching us? Aaliyah whispered. Everyone watches everyone, Lyra muttered back. The Queen lifted one hand, and the image of Elias appeared above the platform, his station ID photo. Awkward and serious, Elias nearly slid off his seat. This human, she said, carries the echo of the one they saved. He is not a leader, not a warrior, not a ruler. He is a technician, a cultural aid. Several delegates shifted in confusion. He did not seek this attention, she said. Yet when the memory touched him, his first response was not pride. She looked directly at Elias across the vast chamber. It was confusion and concern for the one who had suffered. Elias blinked. I did think that, he whispered. A soft-bodied delegate spoke up. You are saying their kindness is instinctive? Yes, the Queen said. Another voice, sharp and metallic, cut in. Instinct without control is threat. Before the Queen could answer, a new sound rolled through the chamber. A low, rising alarm tone. Lights along the walls shifted from calm white to urgent amber. Delegates began speaking all at once. A mechanical voice cut through the noise. Attention! Sector 12 power conduit experiencing cascade failure. Containment fields weakening. Lyra's head snapped toward the ceiling.
That's near the mid-ring habitat clusters? Meaning? Elias asked.
Meaning thousands of beings live there. On the central platform, the Queen turned toward one of her attendants, who was listening to incoming data. Cause? She asked.
Unknown, the attendant replied.
Possibly sabotage. Possibly overload from increased systems demand. A harsh voice from the upper tiers shouted, This is why emotional species should not be granted access to core systems. Lyra stood. Oh, come on. Another alarm blared, louder. Containment at 72%, the mechanical voice said. Failure will result in plasma breach.
Elias was already moving? Where are you going?
Lyra demanded.
Sector 12 maintenance, he said. If it's a cascade, we might be able to isolate the conduit before it hits the main core. You don't even know their system layout. I downloaded public schematics on the way in.
I'm a systems tech, remember? She grabbed his arm. Elias, this is not your job. People live there, he said simply.
For a moment, she just stared at him. Then she let go.
I'm coming with you.
They ran. Security teams from multiple species poured into the corridors. Drones zipped overhead. Lights along the walls flashed emergency signals. Elias followed the station map on his wrist pad, breath coming fast. You realize, Lyra said between steps, if you die fixing alien plumbing, Earth is never going to let me hear the end of it. Tell them I died doing what I loved, he puffed. What? Panicking in foreign hallways? Exactly.
They reached a junction where the air felt hotter. A shimmering distortion flickered along one wall, energy leaking through stressed containment. A squat, four-limbed engineer from another species was already there, frantically working at a wall panel with tools that sparked and hissed. Elias dropped beside it. Status? The being glanced at him, surprised, then answered through translation. Conduit surge from auxiliary reactor. Auto shunt not responding. Manual override? Locked by central control loop. Which is fried, Elias muttered. He pulled off the panel cover and stared at a mess of glowing conduits and shifting symbols. Nothing was labeled in English, but power systems followed logic everywhere.
Okay, he said, mostly to himself. You feed too much into a loop, it protects itself by isolating.
Unless the isolation command can't get through. Alien engineer stared at him. Yes, that is the problem. Cool. Same everywhere, then. Another tremor ran through the wall. The shimmer grew brighter. Containment at 61%, the station voice announced. Sweat ran down Elias's back. The air smelled sharp and metallic. He pointed at a cluster of conduits.
That one's the feedback line, right?
Yes! If we hard break it, we dump the surge into local buffers instead of the main core.
Buffers will overload. Better a burned-out corridor than a breached reactor. The alien hesitated only a second, then handed him a tool that hummed with contained force. On 3, Elias said. They struck the conduit together. Light flared blinding white. A shock ran up Elias's arm, numbing it to the shoulder. He bit back a shout. The shimmer along the wall flickered wildly, then shrank.
Containment stabilizing at 48% and rising, the mechanical voice said.
Elias sagged against the wall, breathing hard. The alien engineer made a low, relieved sound. Main cascade halted. Lyra slid down beside Elias. You absolute idiot, she said, voice shaking.
You did it!
He gave a weak grin.
Team effort!
Security teams rushed past them toward other problem points. Across the station, tension slowly began to ease. Back in the Grand Convergence Hall, Queen Saralith stood very still as updates flowed in. When she learned the cascade had been stopped by a human technician working alongside foreign engineers, she closed her eyes briefly. Around her, delegates murmured in disbelief.
He risked himself, one said. Whew, for strangers, said another.
The Queen opened her eyes and looked out over the chamber. 600 years ago, she said quietly, humans helped one of us because he was hurt. She let the words settle.
Today, one of them did it again.
No one argued this time. High above the station, stars burned in silent witness while, inside, the galaxy began to understand that humanity's greatest strength had never been its weapons or ships. It was the simple, stubborn refusal to walk away when someone was in pain, even if that someone came from the sky,